Model creation day 2, hood construction part 1. Alright, what's important to me, and I'll use this term a lot, I'm gonna go ahead and make a plane. We need to talk about how we move against different surface flows, and that means the direction of movement on the car when it starts to go up here, starts to come down here, starts to come down here. How do we control that polygonal movement in a very productive way? This is very important because in the industry you're going to work with animators, and the way that this surface moves, we call it topology. The way that this surface moves is very important to the way the realism of how that character will move, or how that particular object moves, especially in an organic way. And in a hard surface way, then it doesn't really matter as much, but still you want to have clean geometry, because it's very, very important. You can have a very beautiful looking object or final render, but once you send in that wireframe and it's sloppy all over the place, our director is going to say no. You know, good job on your final render, but you cannot model because you have triangles, n-gons, poor surface flow, and you and another good modeler. So one of the concepts I like to think about, let's bring up this plane here and bring up my channel box. Notice how I access the channel box through the hotkey marking menu. Bring that up, and if I did it quickly, it just goes away. I'll just gesture. So I'm going to rotate this 90 degrees in Z. I'm going to use my inputs. I'm going to bring this down to 4. That's good enough. I hit F to frame that. Now this is the ultimate concept here. Let's go into the side view and look at this. I like to think of it as a top hat. And when you get into digital sculpting or character creation, they go more into an advanced understanding, and they sometimes call this a 5-star point. But this is initially your workflow and your concept that you start off with modeling. And if you look at it, it looks just like the car. Bring up the side view. Looks exactly like the car here. So I utilize this type of modeling concept, and it may be hard to understand right now, but I just want to go ahead and throw that out, because I'll say, where's the top hat? Where's the top hat? Watch that. Anytime I'm trying to change directions, especially on this section here, where the geometry starts to take a turn, I have a concept. I utilize that concept a lot. This will actually flare up that way. And as you can see right now, I have the outer point. I can't change the color of this, but I have the outer points of my top hat. I use the top hat to change directions everywhere. Come down here, this would actually go flat, so there wouldn't be a triangle. Come down here, here. So every time I change direction, I'm always putting in this shape here. That way I have proper surface flow. And you'll see that once I make the side. If you understand this more and more, then you can move in really, really broad strokes. And that's key to what we're trying to do today, or overall with making the car, because I don't like to do things more than once if I don't have to. So with that little introduction, I do have another video just on that concept alone. I'll add to your day 2 folder. Let's go into the construction of the hood. Now you can work in two different ways. You can actually go from curving out the hood, and then, or excuse me, curving out the entire vehicle, as some people have done, and I said if you did that, you would be in a good position. You can go from here, stop, and then curve out the rest of your geometry, or excuse me, the car. Or you can go from the hood, model the hood, go to the side fender, model the side fender, go to the front, model that. And I think what you'll get is that at some point, like I only modeled the front of the car and pretty much this part of the car. I only do this much in curves. The back of the car, I just figure it out. Alright, so now that we got this done, I'm going to go into the top view, and I'm going to use the Create Polygon tool. I have nothing selected. Shift, right click, Create Polygon tool, hold C. You cannot see it snapping. It won't come up, and I think that's a huge bug, but once I release, left click, keep that down, hold C. Now I can see it being drawn. Make your general shape. And the general shape of this is pretty much a quad. And the reason why I'm going to use a quad, because the next couple tools I'm going to use can only function on a four-sided polygon. If I add another point, then it's not going to work. I'm just going to draw in this general shape. We come into our perspective view. We can see the beginning of a primitive hood, or a very generic shape for the hood. One of the most popular tools I like to use, of course, I'm going to select the edge. Go to this component, control right click, and go to edge ring utilities to edge ring and split. Reason why I like to do this, because Maya's going to do the math for me. It's going to automatically split this evenly, and I don't have to really do a lot of lining up. I'll take this entire edge, I'm just going to pop it down here, snap the curve, go right here. What I'm looking for is to try to line this up with the proper the flow of the car. And what I mean by that is, if you see this cut line coming through here, that's a flow of the car. I want to reflect my lines to look like that. So I'm going to bring this down now, since I have this control curve. If you notice that in this shape here, everything is now sort of moving in this direction. So now I can bring this curve down. Oops. Looks like I have another shape here. So I'm actually going to move this down here. Alright, go here. Control right click. I'm going to go ahead and to edge ring and split. If I had already used that tool, I can just go ahead and press G. Snap the curve. Do the same thing here. Hit G. Snap the curve. Let's go ahead and bring this all the way up here. I like to get rid of the little gaps and create more definitive shapes. Go right there. Hit G. So since this to me is a very important curve, I'm going to go ahead and put the line on there. I'm going to pull this down some more, because let's bring this all the way over here. So to me, these are very core key points of this car. Let's draw in with the insert edge loop tool. Let's go to object mode and draw this one in. Everything's still quads. Everything's still being controlled. I need another edge in here to edge ring and split. Look at how even everything is. You know why? Because I'm letting Maya do the math on this. Alright, I might be getting just a little bit too flat, getting a little too bumpy. So I'm going to go ahead and correct some of that. Sometimes the best way to correct something is just to delete it and then redraw it, especially if you have the structural edges in place already. Just snapping the curve. Okay, so now everything else needs to come up. So again, as much as possible, let's let Maya do the work. Let's not try to eyeball this. No one has a cybergenic bionic eye that can see that and calibrate that space. So I'm going to snap to the top of this in the y-axis. I'm going to lock it. Notice it's highlighted yellow, and then I'm going to go ahead and snap to vert. Hold V and just middle mouse click, and it snaps. It's now into this space here, and it won't move. Just come back, quickly do this. Look how even that is getting. Bring this one. That's why I'm just going to snap this up. Goes directly to go to the curve. Now, if you a lot of times we'll accidentally highlight this and say, how come it's not moving? Just hit W. It resets it. There we go. We're right on the curve now. Now look at this shape. Overall, from a core, let me get rid of the curves here. Just hide everything. Turn this off. If you look at this shape, it's actually corresponding to what I want. I get a nice hood-like surface. We're just going to bump up over here. I got my core edge in here. What's going on with that cut line? Let me go back through. And I have one more cut line. I'm going to go to X-ray here. Let's draw this in. Do not use the split polygon tool. I think it's in this case it's just a waste of time. Let's just use the insert edge loop tool, which was my last tool used. Notice how much of the UI I haven't really brought up. I'm accessing everything from my marking menus. So I'm just going to line that up. I'm in the top view. It's locked down. I can't move. I'm going to ride the curve on this. I'm locked. There we go. Very important thing about snapping to curve is that I'm not doing this. I'm not holding the snapping key C, and then I'm trying to move everything here. See that? It's not even right into curve. It's not moving like that. I'm actually moving out away from the point that I want to go to and sliding into. Very, very important. Hold the key, slide into it. Otherwise, you guys will be wasting minutes trying to figure out how that works. There we go. Alright, this is pretty good. Everything else just needs to be refined. That's pretty easy. Control right click to edge ring and split. Look, when you let Maya do the math, everything else starts to just sort of end up working itself out. I'm going to go ahead and hit 3. 3 is very important for what we're going to do in the class here and the rest of your modeling. When you get to art creation for games, 3, you never use it. 3 is smooth mesh mode. You have 3 different modes. 1, polygonal mode. 2 is in between. And 3, smooth mesh mode. And other packages like 3D Studio Max is a smooth mesh modifier. And what I mean by smooth mesh, if I just look at the geometry here, you guys can barely see it, so I'm going to apply a Fong. You can now see the highlights bounce off of here. Let's change this background. If you hit Alt B, that will change your background quickly. So now we can see this in black. Now if you notice that when I start pushing this light through, excuse me, moving the object, you can see the light hit this. You can see how smooth it's gotten. Now if I go back to 1 and I do that same thing, it gets very broken down and polygonal looking. So this is what you're going to model in. This is your final output. So it's called Smooth Mesh Preview. Take this back. So everything's looking pretty good, but then I have these 2 hard edges in here. And on top of that, I have another hard edge in here. How to control that hard edge? Very simple. anytime you have a hard edge, you want to support it with two other supporting edges on opposite sides of that. So very easy, what you can do is just come up here, go on one side, go directly on the other side, and I'm actually going to push this down a little bit.
What's the tool you're using again?
This is the Insert Edge Loop tool. Same thing with this. I'm going to get a little closer on this side. That's too close. And we'll see how that works. I might just get a hard edge right there in the right down the middle. I want this to actually come up like this, and then go down like this, and then go down. So based on the highlight, it looks like it is doing that because I'm getting darkness here. Just on a cylinder, you would get a horizon shadow right there. So that's what that looks like. And there's darkness on this side, so the light's actually picking up here and moving. So that's what it looks like. But you know what? That's all science talk. Let's get into the point of what we can really see. There we go. Have my X-ray on. That looks better. So I turn that off. We put in those supporting edges, and I hit 3, and now I get more of a refined look. Now this part right here I'm not sure about, but you know, I'm not looking for perfection at this point because we're still in a block out phase. And let's bring back the rest of the car. Display show all. Oops, I have my views off here. From this I'm going to save this, call it Hood Creation. And that's set, and that's done. So that's pretty much the basic idea of adding geometry or starting to create polygonal geometry on top of your curves. And then from that we're going to go into the fender and to the front end. And what you'll notice is that once we've done the fender, I'm going to the side view. Once you go into the side, the fender itself, then and the front end, you just start over. Go to the top view, work on the back of the trunk. Bring up the top view real quick. Go into the top view, work on the back of the trunk like you worked on the hood. The side of the car will have already been done, and we're just going to work on the back by looking at it from the front. This is the back of the car, and you turn off your geometry. So to me it's a very efficient flow. It didn't take me that long to make this particular object, so I think the same thing could be done with everyone else. So I'll stop this video and then we'll take a break.